Let's talk about how Alberta Education calculates high school completion rates. We'll start with this icon. Say it represents around 450 grade 10 students. Then this block represents the approximately 45,000 students that enter grade 10 in Alberta in a given year. We remove a small group of students from the mix who are adults or have certain cognitive disabilities. The remaining group of students is our grade 10 cohort for the purposes of measuring high school completion. Let's track this group forward 3 years and see what happens. What kind of outcomes do we see after 3 years? Well, first of all, we have those students who have earned some sort of credential. This group mainly consists of students who have completed their high school diploma. Let's move them over here. We also have a smaller group of students who have attained some other credential, such as Knowledge and Employability Certificate or a high school equivalency diploma. So right away, we see a large chunk of students are completing. However, our definition of completion is broader than just those with credentials. We have a small group of non-credential completers. These are students who have transitioned directly into a post-secondary program, apprenticeship, or have sufficient academic standing in high school to be able to enter university degree programs. Okay, so now we see our total group of completers. So what about the rest? Well, there is a group of students who are continuing their high school education, either in the K-12 system or post-secondary. So we've got completers and continuers who are accounted for in our systems. That leaves one last group. A certain portion of students have left the education system without completing high school. However, there are a variety of reasons why a student might leave the education system. For example, the parents move to another province or country. So we use some Statistics Canada data to estimate what we call attrition. We remove the attrition group from the population, as they've gone outside the jurisdiction of Alberta's education system. This leaves us with our best guess at the number of students who have actually dropped out of school without completing. So we've got the full picture now: completers, continuers, leavers. To calculate the completion rate, we take our count of completers and divide by the total number of students we have left in the cohort. For 2010, that calculation gives us 72.6%, which means that 72.6% of the students in the cohort completed high school within 3 years of entering grade 10. Now, let's look at the end result if we did the same picture for the 5-year high school completion rate. You can see the number of students who are continuers has decreased considerably as those students complete or leave the system. So that's how Alberta Education calculates high school completion rates. Other organizations, such as Statistics Canada, also produce their own high school graduation and educational attainment numbers. The important thing to remember when considering those numbers is that they are estimates based on things like the total count of graduates and the number of people in the province at certain ages. Only Alberta Education can actually track the progress of the individual students as they move through high school. We've talked about how high school completion rates are calculated. Now let's take a look at completion rates for the province over time. Over the last 5 years, the 3-year or on-time completion rate has increased by 2 percentage points, from 70.6 to 72.6. Now 2% might seem like a small change, but we're talking about a large number of students entering grade 10 each year. In fact, we had 2,000 more students complete high school in 2010 than we did in 2006. So at the provincial level, we are making progress, but slowly. What else do the numbers tell us? Let's add a line showing the results for females and another line showing the results for males. As you can see, the completion rate is consistently higher for females than males, the difference in a given year being around 5 percentage points. Now let's take a look at results for self-identified First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students. The results are pretty clear. Fewer First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students complete high school, with 3-year completion rates only half that of the general population. However, results did show improvement in the most recent year, which is promising. Another population we are interested in looking at are students who have English as a second language. High school completion rates for students with English as a second language have been increasing relatively quickly over the past 5 years, narrowing the gap with the general population from 20% down to around 12%. We also have information about students with special education needs. The lower line shows the completion rate for students with learning disabilities. As you can see, the results are somewhat lower than the general population, but the difference has been reduced over the past 2 years. If we now add a line for students with emotional or behavioral disabilities, we see quite a change in results. While the trend over time is similar to what we see for students with learning disabilities, the overall difference in completion rates is very large. When we look at the various groups of students we have in the data, students with emotional or behavioral disabilities are one of the most vulnerable in terms of not completing high school. And finally, I've shown you 3-year completion rates, but I could have shown you rates for completion of high school within 5 years of entering grade 10. As you can see, results are substantially better, with the most recent result of 79%. A rate of 79% leaves us with about 1 in 5 students who require more help in completing high school in the K-12 system. Alberta Education, school authorities, and schools strive to implement programs to meet the needs of these students.